Hello pattern lovers, you're welcome and welcome back. It's yet another exciting tutorial, and in today's video we'll be drafting this blouse. It's an off-shoulder bustier blouse with a scallop hemline and a stylish belly depth sleeve. The back is also laced. So if you're interested in learning how to go about the pattern drafting of this blouse for the perfect fit, then kindly watch this video to the end and let's get straight into it. On my pattern paper, I've gone ahead to mark out these basic lines: the bust point line, the under bust line, the waist line, and then the blouse length. For the blouse length, it's totally optional, but I recommend you make it from your waist to your hip line. Now I'm going to place the exact value on those lines and then go up to how off I want it to be. You can make it as off as you want it, but I'm doing 5 inches for this particular tutorial. So I'm going to make sure I have my bust point, the under bust, the waistline, and then the blouse length. Then I mark the off shoulder point and mark it out this way. Then I'll label it as the stop line. Now on the bust point line, I'm going to mark the bust span measurement divided by 2. Then I'll mark it on the waistline and also on the blouse length. Then I'm going to connect it. So you're marking your nipple to nipple divided by 2, and then you mark it out this way. Now I'm coming to this top line. Whatever it is I have here as the bust span, I'm going to add extra 1 inch to it and mark it on this line. So I have 3.5 as my bust span. Then I marked 4.5 here. So whatever you use as your bust span, you're adding half inch or 1 inch to it and mark it on the top line. That is your off shoulder line. Now for the dart intake, I'm doing 0.75 on both sides on the waistline. Then coming down to the blouse length, I'm going to do half inch on both sides. You can decide to make it the same 1.5 you use as the dart intake on the waistline. Then coming to the under bust, I'm going to mark 0.75 here. Then I'll mark 1.25 on this other side, making it a total of 2 inches dart intake at the under bust. Then I'm going to connect the measurement out this way. Then use my curve to curve from the under bust to the bust point on both sides, as you can see me do it here. The next thing I'll do now is to come up here for the tightening. Here I'll be doing half inch going to the center, then 1 inch coming to this other side, making it 1.5 tightening that I did on this off shoulder line. Then I'm going to connect it this way. Then coming to the side, I'll be making it slightly curved. I'll place my curve this way and then curve it to the 1 inch I have up this way. Now you can decide now to make the shorter one, which is the center one, to be as long as the one on the side, or better still, you can shorten the side one to be the same as the center. Do you understand? But I'll be doing the rather. So I'm going to make the side the same length as I have it on the center one, the dart leg going to the center. Then I'm going to place my off shoulder value on the top line and go down to my neck depth. At this point, it depends on how low you want your neckline to be. Then you're going to connect it this way. But I made a mistake here. Not really a mistake, but I'll be correcting it later on in this video. You're not supposed to connect the neckline like that, but yeah, keep watching. Now you're going to place the off shoulder value again on the top line. Then you're going to go down to your chest line. For your off shoulder, whatever you usually use to do your armhole line for the shoulder pattern, you're going to minus half inch or 1 inch and use that to do for your off shoulder because you don't want it too low. Now on this line, I'll take the bust measurement divided by 4. Then I'll go ahead and cover the armhole this way, and this is the whole mistake. So I realized almost immediately, then cleaned it off. Now what you're going to do is to divide the shoulder measurement by 2 minus 2. The shoulder is 15. When you divide that by 2 is 7.5. Minus 2 is 5.5. And this is how you're going to do it. You're going to measure this part, then you transfer whatever you measure to this other dart leg and mark your shoulder measurement divided by 2 minus 2. Now you're going to curve the armhole from this point. For your armhole, for the off shoulder, you don't want to make it too curvy. Okay, you want to make it slanty, or at least a little bit curvy but not too curvy. Okay, now you can decide to replace the dart intake here or you just ignore it. Then coming to the waistline, I'm going to take the waist measurement divided by 4 plus the 1.5 dart intake on the waistline. Now, before taking the measurement on the blouse length, I'll first go ahead and add up a paper on the side to make up for the hip measurement that will be going to that side. So I'll just join a paper here now. Then I'm going to take the hip measurement divided by 4 plus the 1 inch that intake. I'll replace it this way. Then I'm going to use my ruler to just extend the blouse length this way and then go ahead and connect this measurement. But then if you're doing this, if you're adding a proper sleeve like this, a cover up sleeve, you're going to maintain the same chest line you usually use for your shoulder pattern. Do you understand? That means you're going to maintain the same. Let's say you usually use 8.5 for your shoulder pattern. You're going to make it 8 inches here, or you maintain the same 8.5 so that your sleeve won't be tight, but your armhole for your off shoulder pattern shouldn't be too low. Do you understand that? Now, to connect the neckline proper, I'm going to fold in this dart you see here, then place it on this other dart leg, properly place it this way, and then at this point now, you're going to do any neckline design that you want. If you want a round neckline, you're going to connect it now, but you're making sure that your ruler is touching the shoulder measurement divided by 2 minus 2, and then also your neck depth, your desired neck depth. Then you're going to give it any style, neckline style that you want at this point. So this tracing out is not necessary. If you want, you can do it, or you just ignore it, but I'm just trying to show you the connection. Now, the next thing I'll be doing now is to tighten the neckline, and I'll be doing just half inch. So I'm going to place my ruler this way, then connect it to the neckline from the bust point, and then I'm going to go away from that line with about half inch. If you feel like the neckline will be too wide, you can do 0.75 or even 1 inch. The lower your neck depth, the more you tighten the neckline. Now, for the blouse length, I'm going to come down here 4 inches on this dart leg. Then I'll come to this other dart leg, this center one, and mark the same 4 inches. Okay, now I'm going to use my ruler. I'll place it this way for this part and then curve it to the blouse length on the center. Then place it like this here on this side, then go away about 1 inch from away from the side seam and connect it this way on this side. Do you understand that? Then you blend it in here. Now at this point, you can decide to make this part curvy as you want it, or you just leave it as you connected it with your curve. The next thing now is to come down here by 1.5 for the bust that, and then slant it to the bust span just like this. Now we are going to cut this out, and to cut it, I'm going to open up the waist dart all the way to the bust point. Then I'll go ahead and fold the bust dart and place it on the bust point line. Okay, I'll fold, then I will apply my water glue in between and then place it back on the bust point line this way. Then after that, I'll blend in the side seam line, and then we go ahead and cut out the rest of the pattern. So to close in the tightening dart, you're simply going to open up one of the dart line. Okay, you slash one of the dart line all the way to the bust point, making sure you're not cutting it all through. Then you're going to apply your water glue in between, and then you place it on the other dart line. And then you blend in your neckline and you go ahead and cut out the rest of the pattern this way. And right after cutting it out, this is what it's looking like. Can you see that? So yeah, the lower you go as your off shoulder value, the more your cleavage is going to show. Okay, but this works for my size. Now this is what the hemline looks like. Let's keep this aside and work on the back pattern. For the back pattern, I'm going to place my half length on the line that I already marked out, and then the blouse length, then go up to the 5 inches we are using as the off shoulder line, yeah, off shoulder value. I'll mark it and then I'm going to connect it. So I marked 5.5 on this side, and I'm trying to make sure I have the same 5 inches I have on this other side, then connect it out this way. Now I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 minus 2 here. Then I'll be going down to where we'll be taking the bust measurement, which is the armhole line. TMI. So when I was learning work, my madam usually say that if you're cutting an off shoulder pattern, or yeah, outfit, it's called an armpit and not armhole. But if you're cutting a shoulder outfit, then you can refer to it as an armhole. And ever since then, every single time I'm cutting an off shoulder pattern, I subconsciously refer to this as an armpit. Even if I say it out as an armhole, in my mind, I just said armpit. You know what they said about foundation? But yeah, you're not cutting anybody's armpit, but there is a arm and you're creating a hole for that arm, including the armpit. And that's why it's called the armhole. So yeah, it's not an armpit, but an armhole. Now I'm going to place the off shoulder value on the top line and go down to where I want the neckline, the back neckline to sit. Then I'm connecting from the bust measurement to that point, meaning that you will not be needing the whole armhole that we carved out. Okay, but we just had it there as a guide. Now I'm going to come and measure the waist measurement divided by 4 on the waistline, then on the blouse length, the hip measurement divided by 4 and connect the measurement. There's no dart intake, so we are not replacing any dart on the back. Now here I'll be coming in 2 inches, then I'll be coming down on the blouse length, I'll be coming in by half inch. You know the back is laced and not with a zipper, so you're going to create a room for your lacing bar, your eyelets, and all to lace the back. Now for the blouse length for the back, I'm going to come down here 5 and a half. Then I'm going to place my curve this way. But first, from the side seam line, I'll be coming in 1 inch like we did for the front pattern. Then now I'm going to place my curve this way and curve from that point to the 5 and a half what I have on the center back, just like this. And then after that, I'm going to blend in that side and we are pretty much done. So this part is too pointy and for a good fit, you don't want to leave it like that. Otherwise, it's going to cause some smile lines along that part. Aside that, we are done with the pattern. Then I'm going to cut it out this way. Then after cutting it out, like we always do, I match up the side front and then the side back, and the where there is excess, I trimmed it out and now it's equal and ready to go. So now we have the center front, the side front, and then the back pattern, which is just one piece. You're cutting the center front on fold, and then you're cutting 2 pieces of the side front, and then for the back pattern, you're cutting 2 of that for the both side of the body. You understand? And now for the piece that went across the arm or around the arm, you're going to use your bicep measurement. What you usually use as your sleeve width for your off shoulder, you're going to use that plus extra 2 inches, depending on how much you want it to drop. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'll first mark a starting point line. Then from this line now, I'm going to come down 1 inch to get that curve. Okay, if you want it curvier, you can do 1.5. Yeah, the more curvier you want it, the more you're going down. Then I'm going to mark my sleeve width plus extra 1 inch, meaning that I'm adding 2 inches to that. Remember, this paper is on fold. Then I'm going to connect it this way. Following this line now, I'm going to mark the height of the sleeve. Let's just call it sleeve. And I'm doing 2 inches. So whatever it is I have here now, I'm going to come to this sleeve length and add extra half inch or 1 inch to it, because this is going to your armhole and you of course you curve the armhole out, so you want to also make this piece suitable to go into that armhole and not just make it straight. Do you understand? And after connecting it, this is what it's looking like. Now for the second one, I'm simply going to follow this curve that I have here and go down 2 inches all the way to this side, and then I'm going to measure the width here, which you can decide to maintain the same thing you have on the upper part or you add half inch to it. Remember, this is the second one and it's going to drop more than the first one. Then you're going to connect it like this. Again, you're going to make the down part bigger than what you use at the top part. Do you understand? And then you label it to know that this is the top one and then this is the second one, so that you don't misuse it. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out. So after cutting it out, this is what it's looking like. If you place the second one on top, it looks longer. Even if you place the first one on top of it, the first one looks longer. Yeah, that's how it's going to be until you fix it and it drops on your sleeve. So now these are all the patterns that we have now, which I already said that you're going to cut it out. The center front, the side front, the back, and then the 2 pieces, which after cutting is going to be double of what you're seeing here. And remember I say that the back is laced, so you're going to make provision for that. Except you want just zipper, then you also create a space for that. But yeah, go ahead and transfer this to your fabric, add the necessary allowance, and happy sewing. And with this, I'll be seeing you in my next one. Bye bye.